right, thanks, Corbin. You know, it is possible to make delicious baker quality bread in your own home, and it only takes a tiny fraction of your day. The new book just released called Artisan Bread in 5 Minutes a Day, The Discovery That Revolutionizes Home Baking, was written by a local chef and a hobby baker. We're pleased to welcome Jeff Hertzberg and Zoe Francois to the Showcase Kitchen, and I'm in trouble with Zoe already because I mentioned Jeff at the top of the show. Zoe is the co-author of the book. I didn't mean to leave you out. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you.
Let's hear the story about how this started. It's just fascinating.
Well, I called in on a lark 7 years ago to the Splendid Table, the NPR radio show with Lynn Rossetto Kasper, and I said I have one idea in my life that's going to be different and new, and I didn't tell her the secret.
And you're not a chef. Let's get this straight. You're a doctor.
I'm a doctor.
Just a hobby chef.
This was a big hobby that turned into.
So you call into the radio show.
She told me how to get it turned into a book, but I couldn't possibly have done it. So 3 years go by, and I met Zoe while we were taking care of our kids at McPhail School of Music. And the kids were playing with xylophones, and we started talking about this stuff, and that's basically.
How did the conversation come up about bread?
She's a pastry chef. Why wouldn't it come up?
Right. And he told me he was playing with bread and had developed this recipe, and told me a little bit about it, and I was very skeptical.
What? Oh, really?
Yes,
You're skeptical?
Very skeptical, because I went to the Culinary Institute of America and learned all about bread, and had never heard of anything like this. So I tried it and basically got hysterical and said, "This is amazing, we have to do something with this."
What is it?
Well, should I show you?
Yes.
Well, basically what we've done is we've stripped bread baking down to the most basic steps.
Okay.
And we're going to show you our master recipe today.
That's
and
what
it's just 4 ingredients. It's salt, yeast, flour, water, and that's it. And we mix everything in a bucket just like this, no kneading. So we're just going to throw in our yeast.
So you can actually use an ice cream bucket.
Absolutely.
An empty ice cream bucket. Okay.
Yep, a big bowl,
Sure.
any large vessel. So we have our yeast and our salt. We're going to pour in our water, room temperature water.
Room temperature water, okay.
Yep. And then our 6.5 cups of all-purpose flour. You don't need special flour, just all-purpose. And then we're going to stir it in this bucket. And what's different about our method is that we're mixing together. This is enough for 4 loaves. And so,
really?
Yeah, and so what we do is we mix it together in here. Like I said, just stirring, no kneading. Once this is all stirred up, that's all I'm going to do to it. And then we let this sit for up to 2 weeks in the refrigerator. And so as I want a loaf of bread, all I'm going to do is pull a piece out of this bucket.
Kind of reminiscent of like a sourdough kit, where you just...
Yeah, in fact, as you let the dough rest in the refrigerator, it starts to get more complex and takes on sourdough characteristics and gets even better. So if you have the patience, let it sit for a while and it'll get much, much better.
Is this what it looks like after it sits for a while?
That's exactly
Is that
right.
our next step then?
That's our next step.
Okay.
And so this has been sitting in the refrigerator. Zoe made the dough for us in advance. And we went to the refrigerator and we took this out, and it's very wet, you can see.
I've noticed when I make pizza dough, it kind of turns to that after a day or so.
If you leave it there. Now we're storing this stuff up to 2 weeks, and so it really will get more and more like that over the 2 weeks. And those are all the characteristics you want. So just pull up a piece.
Okay.
Cut it with a gas station steak knife.
Right.
Or whatever you have. You have nice ones, then you use that. Dip it in a bit of flour, and believe it or not, you can turn that into a loaf very quickly. We're never going to knead it. So we're just going to use our fingers to pull.
Why don't you need it? Does that destroy the texture of it or something?
If you're using stuff that's been stored, we don't want to knock all the air out of it.
Okay.
We're pushing our luck. We want to use whatever gas that's in the dough.
Okay.
So I've just sort of absent-mindedly been sort of pulling it around to its bottom, like that. And I'm never going to knead it. This should take less than a minute. And I'll just put it on some cornmeal on a pizza peel, and then we'll let that rest for 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the recipe. And then we'll slash it. We'll use a crust today. And then it's ready for the oven.
Zoe, is Jeff breaking a lot of rules maybe that you learned in culinary school?
I would say almost all of them. Yeah, we
like washing your hands.
Like kneading, for instance,
Yeah.
we don't knead. We don't allow the dough to proof and then punch it down. Basically what we do is we mix it up in this bucket, let it rise for 2 hours on the counter, then store it in the refrigerator. And as you want bread, like I said, and Jeff just demonstrated, you just take a piece out, form it, and you can make any of these breads that we have out here doing the exact same thing. We have a panettone.
Yeah, let's look at some of these. What? You want to start right down here?
Yeah, this is a dough that's enriched with eggs and butter and dried fruit. And then we have a caramel sticky roll.
These look
And
so fancy, and you're
Yeah.
making it look so
just
easy.
like this. Now these are based on our brioche dough, which is the same exact technique, mixing it together in a bucket, but a different list of ingredients. That's all.
I noticed you brought a pizza with you. Is this the same for pizza dough as well?
This was, yeah.
What would you do to get the pizza dough then? You would have to knead it or roll it out.
You just roll it out.
Okay.
And then you can put it in immediately. One of the nice things about the really flat breads is they don't need that 20 to 40 minute rest time. So this goes in the oven as soon as you assemble it.
Okay, now you've got your basic bread here.
Right.
Which one of these, do you have a finished product that this actually is?
This pan de pie right here, this wheat stock looking.
This
dough,
one?
That
Same dough.
exactly.
Okay,
right.
and these
Or
are
this
just
one.
okay.
Yep,
And this is
and-
basically what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
now this is the base recipe. How would you get it to look like this or look like the caramel roll? Do you have recipes in the book that
Yes,
show
we
you
sure
just
do.
add to this?
That's right. This, obviously, he's made a very small one, but if you just were to leave it in that ball shape, you would end up with a bread much like this, and we just slashed it this way.
Oh, that's
so
incredible.
this is a much larger version.
And then real quickly, over here in the basket, we could get a shot of, what do we have? It looks like you have some kind
one
of
here?
dried tomatoes?
It's
is it?
a roasted red pepper
Oh,
fougasse,
okay.
so Provençal bread, and that's very easy. It's actually one of the easiest ones of all, and it looks fancy.
You know, I love this because it appears to me that you're just going with this basic bread here and then just going nuts and experimenting,
right.
letting your
Absolutely.
creativity go. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you
Great.
so
Thank
much,
you
Zoe.
very
You bet.
much.
Congratulations on the book. For a copy of today's recipes, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to the address on your screen, or you can log on to our website, showcaseminnesota.com, and search under the bread category. Artisan bread in 5 minutes a day, the discovery that revolutionizes home baking. It truly has. It's available in bookstores everywhere.